Hi everyone and welcome. It's Mindy with Mindy Egan Design and I am thrilled to be sharing this card with you today. This card is for the Simon Says Stamp STAMPtember 2018 where they're celebrating stampers and creativity, hoping to inspire you. So I'll have more information about that on my blog. This is the stamp set that I have to work with. It's called Ornate Ornaments and it is gorgeous. There are so many images on here to work with and they have beautiful detailed designs. What I'm starting out with is taking a piece of Bristol smooth cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and I put that in my MISTI tool. Then I prepped it with an anti-static powder tool because I'm going to be doing some heat embossing and I didn't want powder sticking where it wasn't supposed to. So I loaded up all of my ornaments. I believe I used every ornament on here and arranged them so they kind of fit nicely together on the front of my card. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp clear ink so I can do the embossing. Gave that a really nice firm push. And then I'm going to cover all of that with the Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder. And I'm just using a piece of copy paper to catch all of that excess white embossing powder, and this is a good time to have your heat tool heating up for a little while so that way you can go right to your paper and it'll minimize the warping of that paper. So once I have those embossed, I'm going to take a couple of the stamps. I'm just working in sections on the card. So I did go ahead and rub that down with an anti-static powder tool again. I'll do that each time in between. And then I can cover that with the embossing powder again and heat emboss this. So I do go back and forth just doing little sections of the card at a time. Since it is white and it's clear ink, it's kind of tricky to see. And then I just move that around on my MISTI where it's going to best fit. Now I'm going to have some ornaments hanging off, and that's just to really give it that random look. So those are my couple ornaments, sprinkling on the embossing powder, and then just repeating those steps. I was really happy that the details of these ornaments really came through with that embossing ink and the white embossing powder. They are just gorgeous. You could watercolor these, you could Copic color them. I just thought a really beautiful ink blended background would really make these ornaments stand out. So I was really happy with how this all came out. And like I said, there's so many possibilities with this stamp set. And these would be great in any color. You saw in the beginning I chose a blue variety, but these would be great in reds or rainbows. Any color would look great. So while I had my stamping tool out and my heat emboss gun was nice and hot, I'm going to go ahead and take some black cardstock. This is Simon Says Stamp black cardstock, and I'm just stamping this sentiment and heat embossing this as well. If you haven't tried the Simon Says Stamp black cardstock, you really should. It is such a great cardstock. Sometimes you get some, they're not real sturdy. This is fantastic. I love their black cardstock. It's one of my go-tos. So I just kind of dusted off with a paintbrush any excess powder that had been sitting there. And once these were all heat embossed, I took a Swiffer rag and just ran it over my panel and my sentiment. And that just removes any of the powder from the anti-static powder tool. Now that those are ready, I'm taking that background. Since I have Bristol smooth cardstock that I heat embossed with, this is going to work really well with the distress inks. So I'm starting off on a craft sheet, and I'm using chipped sapphire. It's a really dark blue. And then I'm going to come in and I'll ink blend with Mermaid Lagoon. I did like to clean up in between my ink blending just so I wasn't contaminating my brushes and getting the colors too mixed up. I really wanted to keep that dark blue towards the bottom of the card. So I'm going over that with the Mermaid Lagoon, and I'm going to go up just a little bit so it'll help blend my lightest color. It won't be such a drastic change. It'll be more of a gradual getting lighter towards the top. So then I come in with the Tumbled Glass, which is such a pretty light blue, starting off where I left off with the Mermaid Lagoon and blending up. And I do go all the way up to the top, but I get lighter handed as I go. So I'm not pushing down as hard, and I'm just using some circular motions being that I'm using the Bristol Smooth cardstock, it blends really well, so I'm not as concerned with leaving any imprints from my brush. You could also use the Jumbo Daubers, which is another one of my favorites to use. And then I'm just working those colors back up again. So I went back in and really darkened up that bottom with the chipped sapphire and helped blend those lines so it's a little bit smoother of a transition. And then I can take a rag or a paper towel and I'm just buffering over all of my heat embossed ornaments to remove any of that ink that was on top of it and really makes them pop off of the background. So you can see these are really standing out, and I'm keeping this a 1-layer card, really simple, but really packs a punch. Then I'm going to take this glitter spray, it's iridescent, and I took it outside and sprayed it because it does really have a strong smell to it. So I sprayed this background heavily with it, and it has a gorgeous sparkle to this background, which I thought was just so fitting for Christmas. I just love having sparkle when it comes to Christmas, so I thought that was perfect. And then I'm just trimming this sentiment down into a really thin strip. You could also use the label wafer dies that Simon Says Stamp has also released for STAMPtember. That would have been really perfect for this, but I didn't have it at the time. So I'm just doing my best to get those straight with my paper trimmer. And then I'm going to take some foam tape and cut it down into a really thin strip, add it to the back of my sentiment, and then I can add this right onto my card. And that'll just give a little bit of dimension to the sentiment and really finish it off. So I really do hope you enjoyed today's card, gave you some inspiration. Definitely check out the Ornate Ornaments stamp set and lots of other wonderful products that Simon Says Stamp has come out with. And they're also going to have collaborations with various other companies, so be sure to check them out all month long. It's going to be a great celebration and lots of inspiration. If you did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and share with your friends so they can see it as well for some inspiration. I will have all of these supplies listed on my blog and also in the video description as well. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time.